Hang on. I still haven't gotten used to all of this, the stuff that is involved with making this an actual show. And I'm in the middle of playing this video, and then I realized I didn't get all this set up yet. I'm not ready. Pretend like the show hasn't started. We're gonna do all this again. I'm so terrible. So terrible at everything. Okay. We need to turn that on. We need to turn that on. We'll record there. All right. Pretend like none of this happened. Pretend like here. We'll do this here. Let's turn here. Ignore me. Pretend this didn't happen. I didn't exist yet. Let's try this again. Let's do this. There we go. New show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, man, it just doesn't have the the same effect coming in the second time. I still am not used to this idea that I'm supposed to be recording this as a podcast and not just as a live video. We'll get it one of these days. It doesn't help that more chaos, always more chaos in my life. And tonight I was getting things set up and changing lighting a little bit. I'm still not sure that I love this. I need one more. We're getting there. We're figuring it out a little bit at a time. But as I'm getting all of this set up, more chaos with children. My oldest is sick again because why not? And I could just hear yelling from upstairs that I had to go run and deal with. So there's that. So that's fun. The the point of all of this, though, is not to actually be a show. I mean, it is a show, but the point is to hang out and for all of us to have a drink together and just talk about everything that's happening in the world of craft beer at large, bigger craft beer in the world outside of here, but also craft beer here in Cincinnati. So because of that, it's just about us hanging out together. So tell me what you're drinking, which all of you seem to be jumping on and doing already. If you are listening to the podcast version of this, if you stumble upon this some other way other than the live show, know that this is a live it's a live podcast. We record it every Monday night at 9:30. We hang out together and we drink together. So if you ever get a chance to jump on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch and hang out with us and do this live, you'll kind of understand the actual joy of what the show is supposed to be, which is chaos, like everything in my life. Marco is having a truth. Julia says, hi, party peeps. Marco says hello. Josh is also having a truth tonight. Elijah says, howdy. Let's see. Marco then says he's having a truth, waiting for me. Here I am. Elijah is drinking Eyinger, Salvatore, and a small pour of homebrew Missing Link Doppelbock Lincolnator. Fun comparison to do. I would love to try that. Caroline, I can't do it the way that Marco and Julia do, is drinking a Merlot tonight. We do not judge here on the show. You can drink beer or wine or spirits or a cocktail or some kind of hard beverage or a seltzer. We don't care. You just drink with us. Julia says she is enjoying Wolf's Ridge Walking Taco Mexican Lager with lime. Craft Parenting Joe wants to know if I'm remastering my intro. At some point, it'll get another refresh. The idea is to kind of refresh the intro every, 6 months to a year. probably closer to a year, just knowing how everything is. But no, not remastering anything. Just can't get anything together. I can't manage anything. Caroline says Facebook is acting weird, so it's not just you tonight. It's acting weird with the live stream because I'm still not convinced that doing the kind of scheduled events does not change how this whole live stream kind of works. I think it makes it a little strange. I could be wrong. It still obviously works, but it's I don't know that it's as as streamlined as it used to be. But whatever, we'll figure it out. It's not a show, except it is. We will definitely figure it out. I'm gonna crack open a beer. Except I forgot it in the fridge. So hang on. I'm going to grab it out of the fridge. The fridge is not that far away. It's right here. Hang on. I'm going to grab it. I was going to give you guys a choice, but I changed my mind because I want to drink this one. This was a gift. So thank you to 50 West for this one. This is their new West Coast IPA, which starts a little bit of a discussion about what that means. Miles is drinking Keeneland Spring Lager from Country Boy. I have not tried that, but that sounds good. What makes a spring lager? Because that is not that's not a real style. Sean says you need a desktop fridge. I actually we have one. We have like this little cool mini fridge that holds like 4 cans, but we keep it upstairs, like in our bedroom. We put it up there when we had like little babies because you could take milk and just throw it in the fridge at night and not worry about it going bad. And it just has always stayed up there now. I don't actually think we put anything in it. It's just a fridge that sits on the desk upstairs and in the bedroom. But it would be good down here. It's probably loud. It probably makes too much noise. The fridge is like right there. It's like 4 steps away. All right. We have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, but West Coast IPA. Oh man, I can smell it. So obviously it is nice and bright and clear, the way you expect a West Coast IPA to look like. Let's see. Thoughts on Braxton Spur? I'm not sure it tastes like an amber. Maybe it's me. Okay, we can start there before I take a sip of my beer. I enjoy it a lot. It is definitely, so it's an amber lager. I think when people hear amber, they are thinking amber ale, which is 2 very, very different styles. Both great styles, but an amber ale definitely has a little more flavor to it. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit hoppier. It's got some punch to it. Whereas an amber lager is not that. It's got just a little bit of that malty kind of backbone to it, but it's still super drinkable, super crushable, which is what Spur is supposed to be. I enjoy it. It's not a beer. Here's the thing with Spur. It's not the beer that I'm going to buy a lot of. If I find myself out and about, or if I'm looking for a 6-pack to throw in the fridge for dinner or something like that, I'm going to drink it. Excuse me. But it's not the beer that I'm going to fill the fridge with like a lot of other lagers will be. But it's good. Caroline wants to know where the chat window is. Sorry, guys. Let's. I've gotten ahead of myself. There's 2 ways to communicate with the show. You can call in. It's called the Drunk Line. There's the number 567-70-DRINK. I may be shifting this a little bit. That's a story for a different day. But if you want to call in there. The phone lines are open. But the easy way, you can jump on the chat. It'll come back in just a minute. Still don't know why it does that, where it pops up for a second and then it goes away and it'll come back as soon as you guys start talking again. So There's chat. Sorry. Let's see. All right. Elijah says back now. Sean says that milk fridge is a genius idea. Now it can be used for milk stout, possibly. All right. Sean says, I'm just glad that every time you cough, Marco doesn't call you out for having COVID. I am getting over like some kind of a weird cold, but it is not COVID. So yeah, I've been I'm definitely a lot better than I was like a day or two ago. But man, I was really coughy there for a while. It it sucked. But I'm a little bit better now. And now Caroline says, now we will. All right. I'm gonna take a sip of this beer because we do need to talk about it. I'm gonna write about it soon or make a post or a video or something. But again, thank you to 50 West for this one. Also, we're drinking it out of the fantastic Be Gnarly Drink Local pint glass. So if you guys want one of these, go on the website. There's like, I don't know, 9 of them left, I think. I made that number up. I can't actually see. They're in a box. But I can see the box. There's some here. It's super kind of, I would call it danky, but still fruity. Good. It says, catch a wave of hoppy goodness, a brilliant and tropical West Coast style IPA. It's not bitter, which is something that I'm struggling with. I've been trying to understand what it means to be not only just what it means to be an IPA, but what it means to be a West Coast IPA, a New England IPA, maybe even hazy IPA. I don't know what any of this is anymore. Cold IPA. Let's not even get into that. The world has changed kind of my definition of what IPA is, and I think the definition of IPA in a much bigger sense, and I like that 50 West is kind of putting their foot down and being like, you know what, we are just kind of, we're going with what we think the style is supposed to be, and defining it on our own terms, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore. On the other hand, I look at this or I taste this, and it's not as bitter as I expect it to be. That being said, I don't know that I want it to be more bitter than it is. I think that there's definitely room for like a piney, bitter, resiny IPA. And there's room for a soft, fruity IPA, like super soft, fruity New England IPA. And both of those are two kind of extremes of the IPA spectrum. And then there is other places in the middle, and I don't know what those are supposed to be called. So I don't know. I don't know how to define styles anymore, I guess is the point. Not that they don't matter, but it's clear, and it's definitely hop forward, which I think is a West Coast IPA. I think. Did any of that make sense? Yeah, it's like super tropical, almost like a bubble gummy kind of thing going on. It's good. It's really good. 7.2% ABV. Yeah. I do like this little, they do this little thing now. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I assume this is with all of their beers. But over here, like next to the beer name, they have this little like symbol, this little dot, and it says style IPA. I like that. It's also a sleeved can, which always makes me curious to see what's under it. We're gonna dig into this and see what can is under this. If it's anything, it might just be a blank. There was a definitely a period of time there where people were sleeving other cans that they had printed. So it was like a fun little scavenger hunt to see what was under your can. No, it looks like it's just a blank can. Julia says, I certainly didn't consider it a West Coast IPA when I had it. It's good, but to me, West Coast should have a bit more of a bitter bite than this one has. Still good though. Yep, just blank can. That was not as fun as I was hoping. Okay, let's dive into this week's craft beer, Cincinnati beer, whatever we want to call it, news. I also didn't test any of my buttons, so I hope all of our things work. We'll start out with there's no show this week. No Cincy Brewcast. There was no Cincy Brewcast last week either. There was no Weekly Pint last week. I've been kind of stupid busy. In fact, like really busy. The woods. There, we'll move over here. I was in the woods, or as this looks like, on the top of some kind of horrible mountain, which is kind of true. We went hiking, which I have not actually taken like an actual like backpacking trip for a very long time, and it was awesome, but it beat the crap out of me. But so we were. Or I say we. I was super exhausted after the trip, and then we'll rewind. I'll walk you through the weekend. So I left. This was last Friday, so not this previous Friday, but the Friday before that was when we left to go down there, Red River Gorge, and we drove down. Hiked into the campsite, which was not a terrible hike, but I mean it was a hefty hike for how much crap I packed. So it was a lot, and we camped on Friday, set up camp, left most of our stuff at camp on Friday, did a lot of day hiking on Saturday. Came back, then Sunday morning, we packed up early, had to book it back out, jump in the car, shoot all the way back up here, get in the shower and kind of get cleaned up, and then get back in the car and shoot all the way up to Oxford because we had my youngest's birthday party. So it was exhausting. If you guys want to talk about, we can talk about the hike a little bit since you guys are asking some questions. Let's see. Joe says this is just the beginning. Next thing we know, the gnome will be an ultra marathoner. That will never happen. I like being out in the woods. I do not like the physical exertion of an ultra marathon. That does not sound like fun to me. Caroline says that Red River Gorge can be a tough hike if you don't pay attention to the elevation maps. And then Julia says, what parts of the gorge did you hike in? So this is the problem. So again, it's been a very long time since I've been backpacking. I was a Boy Scout growing up. Like I've done plenty of hiking in my life. I am much older now, much bigger now than I was when I was a kid in Boy Scouts. I also... I pack differently now than I think I did when I was a kid in Boy Scouts. The food that I bring is different. The sleeping arrangements that I bring are different. The comfort items that I bring are different. I pack booze now because I'm not going to the gorge and not drinking at night. So looking at the map ahead of time and looking at the plans ahead of time, it didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal. We were like maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles, I think, maybe at the most, to hike into the campsite, up to Indian Staircase, if any of you guys have been there. I'd never hiked up Indian Staircase. I looked at pictures online, looked at the map. It looked like it was going to be interesting, but not anything that I couldn't do. Obviously, it's not something I couldn't do, but it was far more than I anticipated. I should have loaded some more pictures. If you guys have not been, so the hike in is all pretty easy. I mean, there's a little bit of elevation, but not too bad. And then you get to the very end of it, so you're already starting to get a little tired. We were hiking in that Friday, and there was rain expected, so we're already kind of stressed trying to make sure we beat the rain. We were already behind schedule because of life, and so we were trying to rush. We get to the bottom of Indian Staircase and then see what we actually have to hike up, which is a little intimidating if you aren't expecting it, especially with a backpack on. So we hiked up there that night, got camp set up at the top. We hiked, we camped at the top of Indian Staircase, which was incredible, really great spot to camp. It was my first backpacking trip where I slept in a hammock. I thought, why not? I'm going to go hammock camping because I like sleeping in a hammock. It was great, but it also stormed heartily the very first night. Caroline says, "Have you been to the Stone Steps at Mount Airy Forest?" No, I have not. The only thing I've done at Mount Airy is played frisbee golf. I don't think I've ever actually hiked there. So night one, so we had already the night was already done. We had already, ate dinner and sat around the fire and smoked a couple cigars and drank and did our thing. And then the rain came in. So climbed into my hammock, got everything set up for the night. And it stormed like a mofo, which was kind of a fun test for me to kind of see how the hammock kind of held up in a little bit of rain, which it did wonderfully. The only problem I had was part of the tarp. The tarp that I use over my hammock has 6 stakes all around it. The 2 middle ones, both of those somehow pulled up in the wind. I say somehow. The wind was very windy. It was like 25 mile an hour gusts. Like it was pretty good, and both of those pulled out. So in the middle of the night, I woke up and I saw them up flapping. I was still dry. I wasn't about to get out of my hammock and climb out and try to fix it in the middle of the night, and then get wet and figure out a way to dry myself off and get back into bed. So as long as I was dry, I was not getting out. But because of that, a bunch of my stuff got wet underneath of the hammock, which kind of sucked. It was fine. I keep all my clothes and bags and stuff. It was fine, but it was a little stressful. But then day 2, we probably did. It wasn't that. We probably did. I don't know. Maybe 8 miles, something like that, just around kind of the gorge there, around that area. Went up to Cloud Splitter, again, another trail that I've never done before that was just absolutely just a blast climbing up that. But point of all of this, come Sunday, had to book it back for birthday party for my youngest, and then get back into the swing of things for this week. And so did not do a brewcast or weekly pint last week, because this was this was the busiest work week that I think I have had since I kind of took this whole thing on as my own company. It was insane. It was good. All of it's very good. A couple new clients and a lot of new stuff coming on, but it was a busy week. Marco says that Cloud Splitter was a nickname for him in high school. It was a cheek. No, we won't go there. So that was my week. This was my week. Kind of coming into all of this and why things that probably should have happened didn't happen. But there are still things that we should talk about. I want to talk first off about consolidation. We've talked a lot about kind of, I don't know, craft beer and the industry and how it's changing and how it's evolving. And Elijah says, very excited to see the McBrayer post. Absolutely love their whiskey. Great people too. McBrayer, I love those guys. Love the product. It's actually torturing me. The bottle is still sitting out there, just on my bar, just sitting there. They are not officially a repeat client. I did a very small project for them. Hopefully, we will work together again coming up. But as of right now, we work together, and we're now not. But the bottle is sitting there. In theory, I got to return it to them. That's usually the way this works, unless they tell me otherwise. Marco says who that be. It's a bourbon company. McBrayer. Look them up. So one of my, God, we could go down a whole other rabbit hole here. One of my other clients is Revival Vintage Bottle Shop down in Covington. I've talked about them a little bit on social media. I should probably talk about them a little bit more here in the near future. They sell vintage spirits. So you go into the shop, and everything in the shop is old booze. Like, it's old bottles, like dusty bottles is what they call them. And you can buy a bottle of spirits that was from the 60s, from the 70s, that somebody's grandparents had just sitting in their basement, that they then sold to the bottle shop, that the bottle shop can then sell to the public. It's a really strange Kentucky law, and something that makes this really fun business be able to exist. So I love working with them. I do a lot of social media stuff with them. But with that, they also, there's a lot of different levels to this. They do barrel picks with some other distilleries. They also, with this one specifically, they had the McBrayer family come into the bottle shop to open up and try a couple vintage bottles of historical McBrayer whiskey. One of them was like pre-prohibition whiskey. One of the most fantastic things that I've ever tried. It had this really cool like woody, tobacco-y. There was a little bit of like a licorice kind of note to it. It was just fantastic whiskey. So anyways, McBrayer is somebody that I came into contact with from that client that then we've done some stuff together. Elijah says, I love the old mash branded vodka that Revival has in their shop. Very fun to see. I'm not familiar with that one, but I will look for it. I will be down there again this week to shoot some stuff, and I'll look for it. They have a ton of really cool stuff. Anyways, Consolidation. I can't keep all of this on track. This idea, what craft beer is going through right now is very strange and very hard to kind of understand. We just, if you look back like 5 years, we were expecting either Anheuser-Busch to come in and snatch up breweries, or big breweries that were still craft to come in and buy up smaller breweries that couldn't kind of make it. And that's still kind of happening a little bit, but not in the way that I think we thought it was going to. It's now shifting into this other thing where small breweries are consolidating with other small breweries. The news just came out, I believe, last week, that Cape May is acquiring Flying Fish Brewery, two kind of smaller breweries. That's just on the heels of a whole list of places in the last few years that have done the same thing. We talked on this show recently about Drake's which acquired Bear Republic, two big names that we do definitely know around town. Full Circle merged with Speakeasy. Carbon 4 acquired Ale Asylum. There's a whole list of all of these places that were smaller breweries that just were consumed by other smaller breweries for good reasons. I'm also remembering now that the chat does not appear when I am talking about one of these news things. I wanted you guys to see the fun message that popped up. What is this? Overt Cosm over on Twitch says, "Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on. Incredibly flexible and convenient." Come on. Does that work? Like, is somebody going to stop there in the middle of their stream? Like, oh, yeah, I got to go to this website. This guy could promote me. This looks good. Jeez. What are we doing? So I'm interested to see where this industry is going because of stuff like this. I don't think that I'm not going to say there's like doom and gloom with the industry as a whole because places are merging with each other. I think that it's obviously good. Anything that can save a brand. I also don't know that it means that there's a limit on how many breweries we can have. I don't think that when a brewery fails, it's necessarily because a brewery that was the exact same size making similar beer couldn't have still existed. I think that there's a lot of different aspects that go into a failure or a merger or a closure or any of that. This is probably a much bigger topic than we're ready for on the Weekly Pint. I think this is more of a Cincy Brewcast topic one of these days. Like an entire episode we could sit and talk about the direction of the industry and what it all means for not just the places that are currently existing, but the places that are coming. Sorry, just got notification on my watch. So that's something that's happening that I think that we should be paying attention to. That I don't know that everybody is. All right, let's jump to the next topic. This is one that's a little more local that I definitely think people can relate to a little bit more than that one, and is just as fascinating to me. Rhinegeist. And we're not talking about the introduction of a new beer. This what is it? Hot rod something. Great. Beer for humans, great. All of these things that they're releasing are great. This is a kind of a bigger thing. Their CEO, Mike Parks, is out. Marco says, "Are you okay?" I heard a cough. Yeah, I'm fine. I just have phlegm in my throat. Just drainage. Mike Parks, their CEO, is out after only a couple years as CEO, and they are bringing in Adam Bankovich as their interim CEO. Julia says they released their CEO, which I guess is great. I don't know. They're being a little cagey about how they're talking about what happened with this changeover. So they are saying that Mike Parks just wasn't a good fit. I think it's the direct quote. Wasn't a good fit to Rhinegeist. which makes it sound like they let him go. But at the same time, they don't have another person ready for that role, which is strange. They moved Adam Bankovich in, like I said, as interim CEO, in what they are calling a and this is a term that I've never heard before. It is a living interview. So they're moving him in as an interim CEO and letting him kind of, I guess, audition for the job by doing the job. It's to me, it's pretty crazy, and not it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a strange move. I'm trying to think of how I can put my thoughts into this. The quote from them is that I have some stuff written down here, so I'll have to read their actual words. They said they have clarity now in how they want to invest in and build out the brewery. They're still working out precisely what that investment looks like, but everyone is now rowing in the same direction. Bryant says that kind of clarity is something we didn't have a few years ago, but we do now. I feel good in our awareness of what the roles are of CEO and board. These are normal growing pains for a 10-year-old company. In just 1 week of working with Adam, we're getting this positive buzz from people of this is what it felt like in the old days. So I think that there's some stuff in there that kind of says a lot about the brand and about the business and about how they feel about themselves. And this part is just completely coming from me. Hang on, let me read here. Caroline says, sounds like something's happening. Trying to prevent a scandal, maybe. Let's speculate. Joe says it's interesting. Who would make that decision? Typically, a board of directors and a directors in a public company. Yeah, the board of directors makes that company, or that makes that move. Marco says you don't make a move as a business that big without knowing what your next move is. Sounds like they did. Julia says reckless speculation time. He was caught drinking only Zimas. And when he's needs to rep the brand better, his only response was, "Can you hand me more of those Jolly Ranchers?" Michael says, "R.I.P. RG Bevs 2022 to 2023." There's a lot of good stuff here, and a lot of things to talk about. So I mean, RG Bevs was kind of his big move as a CEO, was adding this in there. I would not go as far to say that I would say R.I.P. RG Bevs. I cannot for the life of me believe that the Geist tea is not a success. I mean, I don't know on shelves how the lemonade is doing, but it's delicious. So I can't believe that RG Bevs as an entire thing will go away. But you might be onto something there. Marco says they are a business and always have been. Craft beer is the business they choose, but don't be confused. They are corporate. This is where it gets interesting for me. Rhinegeist has never felt more corporate, in my opinion, than they have in the last year or two. They have taken on a different feeling, bringing on a CEO and letting him kind of direct things. I feel like we're going to see a shift back into a different mindset from the company. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm excited about that. Elijah says, my reckless speculation is that they are pivoting to all barrel-aged beers. I'd like that. No, I wouldn't like that. I like the barrel-aged beers, but we need some other stuff. Craft Parenting Joe says it was the 19 point whatever ounce cans. Caroline says, when I toured in 2014, they came across more of a, we're doing this because we think the market is going to be big, not tied to a home brewer that was pretty good. They've always been a bit more businessy. And Julia says, Reculous. I get where Caroline is going with that. Like there is a feeling there that is different than a lot of other breweries. And it's, again, not a bad thing. And if you take a tour at Mad Tree, which I assume they do tours, you probably would get the same feeling of kind of that polished corporate mentality of the tour. Probably even at Braxton. I anticipate that the tour there is probably kind of the same thing. But it's not. I don't know that it's the company itself that does that versus the facility and kind of the way it's set up. And I don't know. There are places that are probably a little more corporate that don't or do give that feeling. Somebody's calling. Hang on. Hey, you're on the Weekly Pint. Who is this?
Well, hello.
Hello.
Gnome. Hello, Gnome. This is Marco.
How you doing, Marco?
I doing great, buddy. I just want to say, a long-time listener, first-time caller. That may or may not be true.
First-time caller tonight.
I just want to say, look. Yeah, tonight. I just want to say, look, with this Rhinegeist, COO, CFO, CEO, whatever it is, talking point, whatnot. We all love to embrace our brand as local and love it, and we love that. Rhinegeist has moved up in, one of the biggest as far as
23rd.
barrels.
23rd in the country.
We love that. We love that. We embrace that. We have helped Rhinegeist catapult to that as locals.
You more than anybody else on the show tonight, by your drinking of truth, has done that.
Well, on the show tonight. I mean, I don't want to claim, anything by volume, take anything away from anybody else by volume. But they're a business. This is corporate. And I don't know how I can. I think this might disappoint a lot of people, but this is a business decision.
Well, let me ask you this.
Period.
In your opinion, does this decision?
I have no insight.
Of course,
I have no insight. I have no nothing. I'm just telling you, the way business works is business.
This is nothing but
go ahead.
This is nothing but reckless speculation from the
reckless speculation.
Do you think that this decision to get rid of the previous CEO and bring somebody else in, do you think that this is more of a corporate decision than they were making before, or do you think that this is maybe a shift towards trying to be less corporate than they were for the last year or two? Just in your
more corporate.
You think that?
More corporate.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is my opinion. I have no insight into anything. I don't know anything. This is more corporate. Period. This is more corporate. They are the bottom line is the bottom line.
Sure.
And what's happening is, craft as a category is flat or slightly behind 2-3%, depending on what metrics you're looking at. Rhinegeist, wonderful progression. But the barrels for craft beer and craft beer brands in the top, and then especially in the top of the city.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. What any of them have projected in their 5-year plans going back to 2019.
Right.
Obviously, things were different in 2020, but as everyone's able to do everything and whatever, come back around, not have rebounded the same way, and then advertising campaigns are strange, and you've got the two owners of Madtree doing local commercials for LCNB on TV or something like that.
I didn't see that.
I saw him tonight. You got
That's great.
Brady and but anyways, they're doing local commercials for a local bank.
Oh man,
But anyways,
I gotta look for that now. Somebody find me a link.
They're there. A couple of bearded dudes doing LCNB commercials, talking about talking about the brewery. It's something. It's a thing. But anyways, this is this is I don't know how to put it other than the big guys are trying to stay big. The people in the middle are just trying to stay. They're just grasping at straws, trying to stay in the middle, and then everybody under them is trying to hunker down, local, be what they're trying to be, and then as people under that who, whether it's they're out of their skis with debt, or just came in the business and just unfortunately didn't have the right people around them to know what they're doing. They're trying to find a soft exit or whatever. We're in a strange time. Things are happening, and there's still a lot of people trying to come into this business. And so the 10,000, 11,000 people registered with the Craft Brewers Association, right. There's going to be a lot of flux. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a net zero, where the people leaving with the people coming in are going to be, essentially a net zero. But what you have is probably people, acquiescing or selling to other people. People coming in, just like the ownership group that was wanting to have their own brewery, but they wound up buying Listerman. Some of that stuff happening. Just a lot of stuff happening.
There's a lot of a lot of strange, almost like cultural things happening is the way I put it. And yeah. To me, that's what's so interesting about this Rhinegeist thing. It's I don't care about a CEO change. That doesn't do anything for me as a drinker, except the culture of the company. To me. And there are two very distinct feelings. You're saying that it's way more corporate. I got a text from a person that wants to remain anonymous, another beer person here in town, that says it's way more corporate if they want to keep growing. Which I know that they do want to keep growing, even if it's small, moderate growth. Rhinegeist wants to keep growing. And then, Michael Amons puts a good point out here. He says Adam Benkovich is an OG Cincy craft industry. He interviewed with me when I tried to get a job at Cavalier back in 2013. He interviewed me. He interviewed Michael when he was trying to get a job at Cavalier. I don't know him outside of that, but I view this as getting more beer focused. That's my view of Adam Benkovich. He worked for Stone for years. He's a beer guy. He is not only a local guy, Cincinnati. Well,
he is a
beer guy.
Wouldn't you need to be that?
No,
Wouldn't you need to have those credentials to have that
no, no.
title? I mean, you couldn't
You
have that title.
you should
I mean,
be,
I couldn't have that
but
title.
the last guy came from like a pizza company.
No, but a pizza company, but was a CEO, CFO, or
sure,
CEO.
sure,
You
but
know,
like,
a CFO or something like that. But you and I couldn't have that. I mean, just because we care about the company
I could
or
totally
care
run
about because
Rhinegeist.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, you and me both. I mean, let's go. I mean, but
But it is a
but
shift.
no, I mean, but the thing is,
it is a very, to me, a very distinct shift in culture, which is the
uh,
fascinating part. It is
that's a wonderful ideology, and
yeah,
that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful, and if that's the case, that's fantastic. But let me tell you something. You know what they care about? They care about making money. They care about making money, and at the end of the day, once they are fully, I don't know if they are fully. Once they are fully employee owned,
yeah,
they care about making money too, and they can be bought.
of course, of
And
course.
I mean, and I'm not saying that they will. I'm not saying that this is a step to that. I'm just saying that look,
Wouldn't that
they
be the
need
biggest
to
joke in the
make.
world if, after all of this bullshit,
They
and Ryan Geist
doesn't
finally
matter.
shifts to employee
Doesn't
owned,
matter.
and then New
New
Belgium,
Belgium. New Belgium
it's
did
like,
it.
yeah, thanks.
New Belgium did
Now
it.
we're sold.
I'm telling you, this
No,
is
no, no, no.
look. They don't have to do it. They don't have. I'm not saying they're gonna do it. I'm just saying, look, any business needs to have profitability to continue.
Right.
And like, but a lot of these smaller craft beer, businesses are just kicking the can. Like, we're good this year.
Right.
Let's roll. Let's roll to another year.
It's
We're good.
any
Let's
like
roll to
any
another year.
like a lot of small
And
businesses.
they have and yes, of course. And then at some point they say, hey, uh, a transition to a kid or to another family member or sell the business,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But I'm telling you, I mean, you go employee owned. What do the employees want? They want to say, oh, we want to stay independent. We want to stay craft. And then someone comes in and wants to write a big check. What we want to do is we want to have we want to be secure. And thank
Right.
you for that security. That's wonderful. Thank you. That was our wasn't really what we wanted to do, but that's what we're going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, bud.
No,
Um,
I get it.
friend to friend.
I get it.
For the hundreds of people that are listening right now. I'm just saying. Look, I mean, just be cautious. That's all I'm saying.
We can be
So
idealistic and want something bigger out of our beer than maybe they realize that they're able to provide. If that makes sense. As I don't want to just drink beer because why do I drink the beer that I do? Like, at the end of the day, like, what is the reason that I walk up to the shelf and I pick up a beer? Like, there are big things
well,
that,
I have
go ahead.
yes, there are so many different factors that go into that. But I mean, I compute that very quickly. I mean, as do you, I would imagine. I mean, I compute that very quickly. What is the intent of this beer? Where is it going? How am I going to store it? What are the people, or who are the people that are going to be enjoying it with me? What price almost never comes into the factor, actually,
Mm-hmm.
except for uh, if I'm actually almost never.
Yeah, I agree with
Actually,
that.
um, uh, but I mean, there's so so
There's
many
sometimes
different
when I'm
factors.
checking out that I go, whoa, but it didn't affect me putting it in my cart in the first place.
No, no, absolutely not. But no, there's so many different factors. But is local a factor? Absolutely. I mean, almost every time,
Oh yeah.
and even if I'm out of town. So, anyways, um,
Is culture a
anyways, buddy,
factor?
uh, yeah, I think so. I mean, if you want to culture in, so we're here. I mean, we're local. I mean, if I'm not local, culture, whatever. I mean, I don't I don't know. I mean, if I'm somewhere else, am I trying to buy their beer? And is it
Yeah.
local or is it culture? I mean, where's the delineation between
Sure.
local and culture? I'm not sure. I'm sure it does play
But
into a factor.
if there's a place, and again, kind of going back to the Rhinegeist thing, if Rhinegeist feels too corporate, but they still make good beer and they're still local, and but then there's another brewery that is making beer that is just as good, same price point, same flavor profile, all of those things that you want, but their culture
Yeah,
resonates with you more. Do you lean towards the place that resonates with you more? Because I do.
I think there is. Well, I think for us, for having being blessed with Rhinegeist for 10 years now. I mean, I think unfortunately they
No, but
have well, no, no. But hear me out. I think unfortunately, what it is that like, hey, you get out of town guests, that kind of thing. It's like,
yeah,
hey, I've had Rhinegeist already. I've been to
sure.
Rhinegeist. I mean, what else do you want me to see or have? And so when you have out of town guests that have been exposed to that already, they don't get re-exposed. And what definition of a customer is somebody who has bought your product and will buy it again. And so if by definition, those people that are in your circle and then come around again and are not going to have it just because they've had it already, they may be exposed to other things. And I think we are, because we're not a flyover city anymore.
Right.
We are a beer destination. I think they may suffer from a little bit of that. Now, does that hurt them very badly? I don't think so. Is it good for the rest of the craft beer community in this city? I think it is. And I think that anybody who has been to a place like Rhinegeist and didn't go on their second trip, I think they would say, hey, if it's your first trip, like to their friends, their family members, if it's your first trip, hey, go there.
Yeah.
So it may hurt the repeat guest to not go back, but it's not hurting the first time guest. I think is the way I would put that.
And I think that's interesting though, that because I think that's exactly like my mindset about Rhinegeist is that if somebody's coming into town and they're looking for places they have to go, you you have to go to Rhinegeist for your first time because that experience is incredible, and but you can get it on the shelf anywhere you go. You don't need to go there your next time in town because there's 100 other breweries that you need to go to. you know and the
Right.
same
Exactly.
the same goes for like on the shelf. Like if I'm buying an IPA, Truth is great, but there are lots of other IPAs to kind of explore and
No, for sure.
experience, and like
I would agree.
and I think that the repeatability of Rhinegeist is starting to suffer as they grow. When you walk into a bar and you see a Rhinegeist tap handle, you don't notice it anymore, and I think that that's a problem as a
Well,
company.
it's not that you don't notice it anymore. It's that you probably already had it, and
No,
so
no, like,
um,
I think it's
you,
I think it's bigger than like you've already like. I think that you don't even notice what it is. Like you just kind of your mind passes over it
well,
because it's Rhinegeist and you're so used to it being there.
I think they actually struggle from a different problem. I think they struggle from a problem of they are on so many tap handles at places that are not craft beer bars, that are mainstream tap rooms, that maybe they don't go through their beer as well. I have had Truth. Now, I mean, it wouldn't be a shock to anybody that when I go to a chain restaurant and when they have Truth on tap, that's what I ask for.
Right.
I've been disappointed far more with the Truth on tap
Sure.
than I expected to be.
I get
Like
that.
a chain restaurant. Um, first of all,
Michael says,
first of all,
Michael says, may we all suffer as Rhinegeist has suffered over the last 10 years.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
This whole thing
It,
is
it,
like is very silly, but it's beer nerd shit.
absolutely. But absolutely. I mean, I go into a chain restaurant, I order a Truth, and it smells terrible. It smells old.
Yeah.
And I do the thing where I say, "Hey, excuse me, this doesn't smell exactly right. It doesn't taste exactly right. Would you mind? Can you pour this out? Can you pour me another?" And they pour me another, and I was like, "Okay, this is a little better." So what that means is they haven't poured Truth
Yeah.
in at least that day, right? Because the first pint of that day is stuff sitting in the lines for
Sure.
who knows how long. The overnight, the previous day, whatever, or depending on the place, nobody ever orders it. But anyways, tastes a little old. Then you get Truth, tastes good, a little better, but it could be a little long in the tooth, and you're fine with it. But man, if you get hit with that first Truth from a chain restaurant that nobody gives a fuck about Truth on, you get a just 16 to 20 ounce pour
of feet.
just trash. Is feet. Yeah, just feet. And it's happened to me more than
Oh yeah, I've been there.
on one occasion, and it's just, it's tough. And so anyways, I know we're on the weekly pint. I know I called in and, we're having fun. We could talk forever. I will let you go, hang up, and listen to the rest of the pod. But
Well, cheers, buddy. Thanks for
good
calling
talking
in.
to you, buddy.
In theory,
Yeah.
and I don't know if Julia has told you this, you may be on next week's episode of Cincy Brewcast too. So stay tuned.
In theory, in theory,
Stay tuned for that.
in theory, I'm expecting it. So in theory, everyone on here should know. If you like what we're doing, that's awesome. If you don't like what we're doing,
It's still awesome.
tune in anyway.
Still awesome, yeah.
So
thanks, buddy.
yeah. So yeah.
See you.
You're welcome.
See you
Talk
soon.
to you. Cheers, bud. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. I think the the idea that I keep I keep getting stuck on is this idea of the culture of a brewery, and if it matters to anybody else, and I still think it does, and I don't know. I have a couple more minor news things we should touch on before we go, but I finished my beer. This might be the first time in the history of the Weekly Pint that I've finished a beer. Let me grab another one. this could get interesting. These could be really old. So let's see here. Let me crank some volume here. All right. Let's see what we got. All right, we're diving in. Oh, this. Okay. All right, this is a. This is probably starting more of a discussion that we need to have on the Weekly Pint. But before I crack this open, let's jump into the next story. Actually, I'm gonna in my head. Let me make sure I do this right. All right, this one, North High. You guys probably saw, or hopefully saw, if you follow me on social media. I was out and about last week. Was it last week? I don't remember. Time doesn't make sense. I had seen or heard that North High in Hyde Park had closed their doors. They hadn't posted anything, so I said, "That's fine. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go, do my gnome thing. I'm gonna go have lunch at North High." Instead of going to Hyde Park, which I was fairly certain was closed, I'm gonna go to Kenwood and I'm gonna kind of talk to them about what's going on with North High, poke around and kind of do my thing. And they confirmed that yes, North High, Hyde Park had closed. As I'm having the conversation with them, and then I posted, in the middle of all of that, they finally posted that yes, the Taproom in Hyde Park closed. I'm really, really interested to hear everybody's opinions and thoughts about why it closed, why you think it closed, were you expecting that it would close, what does this mean for North High, does it mean anything, why you guys are putting your thoughts together. I'm going to crack open another beer, and it's probably going to start some more thoughts in your head. We're going to drink some Bad Tom. This is Don Fernando. This is a Mexican lager. Mexican style lager. 5.4%, 20 IBUs. Really great artwork. Just beautiful. I assume this is still Lemon Grenade Creative. All it says is the story of Bad Tom Smith is one of redemption, both man and the brewery. Named for an infamous outlaw who was hanged in 1895, the brewery overcame an uneven start to begin producing quality beers made by good people. That is written on a can. That's beautiful. They're like they mention on the can that the brewery had an uneven start, as they call it. I love it. I love it so much. Let's see how even this beer is. I love Sean over at Bad Tom. He is a great dude. It looks like a lager. It's clear. I know that Bad Tom gets some I don't know, some blowback, I guess we'll call it, online. All right. Let's see, Marco. Something about chilies. Sean White from Nostalgia says, I read an article that says the ventilation was terrible and it would cost too much to fix. That is definitely a part of it. We'll talk about that. That is part of it. Julia says, I always forget that North High had tap rooms here, to be honest. That's a bigger problem. Marco says, not hazy. No, it is not hazy at all. It's actually it's a good looking beer. I mean, there's maybe a touch of haze, but nothing that I would call hazy. Nice head on it. Let me stick my nose in here and see what's happening. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. There's a little bit of like that. That wordy kind of worty. sweetness, I guess, but not bad. Nothing that I would be upset about smelling. Okay, it is not even close to the worst Mexican lager that I've had in the last couple weeks. Not the best, but not the worst. Um, to me, that's it's on par with what I expect it to be. That's a it's a fine beer. It's fine. Um, I actually think that is gonna do pretty good for them. It's fine. It's good. All right, let's see. Russ says, just seems odd that they're adding breweries at the same time they are closing breweries. Yes, that's that's an interesting note. Marco says, I know what that means. No, it's not bad. It is not a bad beer. Um, I would drink this over a lot of other beers. Uh, the hard part for me is that I'm a lager nut. This is not the best Mexican lager that I've had, but it's still better than some other beers that I've had recently. It is fine. It's fine. It's a fine beer. Sean says, also, North High's relationship with Cohatch allows them to be super flexible. The same article mentioned the Cohatch would just repurpose the space and they walk away almost unscathed. That is another massive part of it, is that it enables them to look at their space and be like, you know what, this really isn't working for us. Do you guys care if we just kind of go away? They don't. Cohatch does not care. So the biggest thing that I got out of the things that I was reading was that the reasons for their closures so far, not specifically Hyde Park, but just in general, because they've had a few, all of them, every single one of them, one of the biggest things that they mentioned was outdoor seating. The places that they're closing do not have outdoor seating, which for some reason is a thing that North High thinks is super important, which it is, but I don't know that it's as important as I don't know that it should be the top of the priority list. One of the other things that they mentioned about Hyde Park specifically was the ventilation, as Sean mentioned. The pizza ovens, when they really got rolling with them and they were making a bunch of pizza, it got really smoky inside the tap room, which it did. I experienced that. It got smoky and it got hot and it just was uncomfortable. It was not a fun tap room experience. It was a very different tap room than Kenwood. Kenwood feels like a tap room. It feels like a nice restaurant. It feels like you sit down. There's tables. There's a bar. It's comfortable. It's clean. It's nice. Hyde Park felt like, I mean, it felt like somebody taped it together and decided, you know what, let's put a tap room here. It didn't feel like it was designed to be a tap room. It felt like it felt half thought out. It should not be a place that is making any kind of food that can produce smoke because it was so small and so compact. Great location, not for what they were doing. But I really don't. I don't think the beer is an issue. I don't think the company is an issue. From what I know about them, I think that they're going to be fine. Maybe, but man, it is hard, or maybe it's not. It should be hard to stroll into Cincinnati as an outside brand and open up a tap room and to coexist with what is happening here. I say that, and now looking at some of the brands that are doing it, they seem to be doing okay, be it North High or Brewdog or West 6th or, okay. It should be hard. Maybe it's not. I don't know. So if somebody's able to do it, more power to them. If North High is able to keep Kenwood up and running, which they say they're doing fine. They said they were doing fine in Hyde Park too. They said business was great. So we'll see. Supposedly they have some plans for more tap rooms still in the works. Sean says low overhead. There's got to be some overhead going on there. Maybe not Hyde Park. Hyde Park seemed like it was low overhead. Kenwood has a little bit more. It's a little more involved. It seems weird to me. If you guys haven't been to Kenwood, it's like it's in the mall. I mean, not in the mall. It's on the mall. On the mall is a better way to put it. It's attached to the mall without an entrance via the mall. Like you can't be in the mall and get to the tap room. You have to like go outside and walk around and then come in. And there's not even like an easy way there to walk around and come in. You got to go out. You got to go down to the real fancy end with Tiffany's and all that and come outside and come. It's not convenient, which is interesting. I think that that could be figured out. Sean says, still co-hatch though, right? Yes. Although not as in your face as it was, I think, in Hyde Park. The co-hatch partnership is strange. Marco says, I would imagine that the Hyde Park space was very high rent. I imagine, but it's also still with Cohatch. Cohatch owns the space or controls the space, whatever it is, in the same way they do in all of these local spots here. I know that's probably not the case with all of North High's tap rooms, but locally here it is. I don't know. The whole thing's strange. So that's North High. It's something to watch. I don't know that we are done hearing from them locally. Obviously, Kenwood is still open, or for a lot of people that I've talked to, hey, Kenwood's open. If you didn't know it, it's a great little tap room, good beer, great food. They have like these like bowls that they serve, like meat and rice and stuff in a bowl. It's good. It's good food. Tap room is tap room. It's not going to get you that excited about much of anything, but it's good. One more story before we wrap things up, because we are way over time for what this show is supposed to be. But that's, I guess, what happens when it becomes a show instead of just a happy hour. And this is a short one, but it's one that brings a lot of joy to my heart. 16 lots. These guys. So let's throw it all out on the table. There were a lot of people that I talked to that were not happy with 16 lots. When I talked to them, we'll say, we'll call it a year ago, year and a half ago. People were not super happy with what they were doing. In fact, supposedly 16 lots at one point was for sale. That's a discussion for a different day. But within the last year or so, they announced plans for their second location, the Southern Outpost down at Newport on the Levee, which hopefully the Newport Police Department will be happy with me coming down there and imbibing once it opens, because I'm pumped. I get more and more pumped every day about what they're doing. Chris Mitchell is on board as their brewer down there in Newport. You guys know Chris Mitchell. Started at Listerman, to Woodburn, to OTR Stillhouse, now to 16 Lots. The reason I talk about them tonight is because when I was picking up the beer that I defaced, this West Coast IPA from 50 West, I learned that Josh Wilson, Lord Duckworth, for anybody who is a Instagram person, is no longer at 50 West, because he is now moved over to 16 Lots. He is now the head brewer at 16 Lots Mason. So you've now got this team of Chris Mitchell at 16 Lots Southern Outpost in Newport, and Josh at 16 Lots Mason. This is looking like a brewery that I want a lot of things to do with. You couple that up with a food program that I know is going to be great, a hospitality program that I know is going to be good, ownership that I know is gung-ho about making this something that is unique and special. Everything that every negative thing that is in my head keeps getting smacked away by something that is very positive. So I'm actually kind of really excited about what is happening with them right now. They have more opening dates. I always hesitate to say opening dates for anybody. More so when they've had a couple come and go and whatever. But hopefully in the near future, you will hear me sit down and talk about and with these guys on Cincy Brewcast. So stay tuned for that. But I'm excited. Some good beer definitely coming from 16 Lots. And that is a way longer episode than it was supposed to be. We're like twice as long. I got to figure this thing out, man. I don't know how how the local news people do it and keep it compact and, man. Any last thoughts from anybody before we cut this thing off? And I go drink my Don Fernando. I appreciate all of you guys immensely for hanging out with me, listening to the show, taking part in the show. If you like this, if you like any of this, tell your friends, share it with people. Marco says they don't have me call in. Julia says you just need to get better at reining in us cats. Now, that's the whole point of the show. Without that, there is no show. I appreciate everybody for calling in, for taking part in the chat, for just listening. Share it with your friends. Tell people about it. It's wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Hopefully, if you have a spot that you like to get your podcast and you don't hear this one, I don't know how you're listening, but if you don't hear it, tell me, and we'll get it there. Share it with people. If you really, really like it and you want to support it, go to thegnarlygnome.com/support. That helps a lot, and it helps kind of push other projects along that I'm playing around with in my head. Some of them are great, some of them are not, but without you guys, we can't figure out which are which. So thank you guys. We will be back next week with both this show and Cincy Brewcast, and then hopefully soon an episode of Drinking with a Gnome. Hopefully soon. Julia says, always love the Monday chats. Have an awesome week. Cheers to you. Cheers to everybody. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. It's always fun. I can't believe I finished an entire beer during the show. That's a record. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you soon. There's lots of stuff to talk about. I'm thinking about now all of the things I didn't mention on this episode that I should have. Lots of stuff coming. See you soon. The most reckless thing in the world is making podcasts about beer. Because you're drinking while you make a podcast. It's stupid. Anybody that's thinking about doing a podcast, don't do it about beer. Do it about, like, I don't know, cheeseburgers. Cheeseburger cast.